If you're thinking about quitting your 9 to 5 to freelance full-time, then here are some things that I desperately wish someone had told me before I started. Just over a year ago, I was laid off from my full-time job in tech due to restructuring. While initially I spent some time looking for a new full-time role, I eventually decided to go full-time into freelancing. And yes, I've managed to make 6 figures doing it. But the journey to 6 figures was not exactly what I would have expected. Today, I'm sharing some of the brutal truths about freelancing full-time so that you can avoid some of the painful lessons that I had to learn the hard way. So let's start with the biggest lesson first, and that is that getting clients is by far the hardest part of freelancing full-time. When I first started, I thought that my skills would speak for themselves. I had already had a decent Upwork profile built up from the freelance work I had done on the side while at my 9 to 5 job, and I figured that getting enough clients to go full-time would be super easy. But that's definitely not what happened. For the first couple of months freelancing full-time, I made almost no money. And even though I had solid data analytics experience and a good portfolio, I underestimated the amount of work it would take just to get enough clients to make half of what I was making in my full-time role. And here I was thinking that I was good enough at data analytics to freelance full-time, but at the same time struggling to get anyone to hire me at all. And what I didn't realize is that client acquisition is an entirely separate skill set apart from the technical work that you already do. And it's a skill set that requires constant practice and refinement. It really doesn't matter how good you are at video editing, graphic design, or data analytics if you can't convince people to pay you for those skills. Even today, I'm still practicing and investing in resources that'll help me become better at getting new clients for my data analytics work. And I definitely spend more time trying to upgrade my sales and my ability to find new clients than I do learning the technical skills that I actually use in the work that I do for clients. That's how crucial this aspect is to your freelance career. If you have the option to start freelancing before you quit your 9 to 5 job, then definitely do that. Build up a list of clients while you still have a paycheck coming in from your 9 to 5 job. I wish I had done more freelance work before I got laid off, as it would have made the transition to full-time freelancing way easier. And this brings me to the second biggest lesson that I've learned freelancing full-time, which is that in order to bill a full 40 hours of work per week, you have to work a lot more than just those 40 hours. And in fact, I'm actually working around 60 hours a week if you factor in all of the other admin work and the work required to get new clients. The reality is when you're freelancing, you're running a business. You're not just a designer, a writer, or a programmer. You're also the CEO, the sales team, and the secretary, all in one person. All of these roles take time and none of them directly make you money. Although later down the road, you can start to hire them out and focus on the things that you think matter most in growing your career. And the third biggest lesson I learned is that schedule flexibility does exist as a full-time freelancer, but at the same time, you also feel the pressure to work 24/7. One of the biggest perks of freelancing that everybody talks about is the flexibility. And yes, it's true. I can take a Tuesday afternoon off to go to the park. I can take any trips I want and I can work from wherever I want, whenever I want, without asking anybody for permission. But here's what they don't tell you, is that flexibility comes with the pressure to always be working no matter where you are or what time of day or night it is. And in addition to that, when you're not working when you first start out as a full-time freelancer, you're not making any money, so there's no such thing as paid time off. The mental shift required for this is pretty significant. You have to set boundaries with yourself and your client to ensure that you don't get tired of freelancing and want to go back to a full-time job. I've had to train myself to turn off notifications on certain hours and be able to leave my house sometimes without bringing my laptop with me. But now onto the fourth biggest lesson that I learned about freelancing is that freelancing is an exponential curve and not just a linear curve. And I know that sounds confusing, but when you're an employee in a full-time role, your salary will probably only grow by 5 or 10% each year, if you're lucky. And if you're switching companies, maybe it'll grow 20 or 30% in a year. But as a freelancer, you have a chance to make twice as much in 1 month than you did in the previous month. When I started freelancing, I was charging rates comparable to what I was making in my full-time role, but within 6 months, I had raised my rates by over 50%. And by the 1-year mark, I'm now charging over double what I was making a year ago. And the good thing about this growth is it's entirely in your control and you don't have to wait for a manager or a boss to promote you. But looking back on my first year of freelancing full-time, I can honestly say that it's been one of the most challenging and most rewarding transitions in my life so far. I've made more money than I ever have before, and I've gotten to work with clients that I never thought I would have the chance to talk to, let alone work with. And if you found this video helpful, then please check out my channel and watch some of my other videos on similar topics.